So another unacceptable story out of North Korea. When am I going to stop? All right. This is about racism. I'm partly amused by this, even though it's a viciously racist quote that you're about to see in a second, because everybody's outraged that Kim Jong-un is being racist. The guy has concentration camps. Being racist is like the least of his problems. So anyway, what's happening and why is it happening? Well, President Obama last month went over to hold a summit in Seoul, South Korea with President Park Geun-hye. There's no way I'm saying that right. Anyway, the leader of South Korea, and in that summit, he said that they will consider further sanctions against North Korea, and that if push came to shove, of course they would back their ally with our military. So now, whenever this kind of stuff happens, North Korea loses it, and they want to show how tough they are. Okay, I know, you're super tough, okay? So luckily they didn't launch a nuke in this case. Instead, they're going to try to jab at both the South Korean leader and President Obama. South Korean leader, in case you couldn't tell from her name, it happens to be a woman. So, of course, they threw out a sexist jab at her. Earlier, they called her an old prostitute cocaine with outside force. Fascinating. When you're going to criticize someone and insult someone, I wouldn't go with cocaine in the middle of it. But well, that's your call. You know, like, oh, I caught you cocaine. What now? What now? Okay. Okay, so now they're going to go after President Obama. Now, what they don't want to do is have the leadership say it, right? Because that would be very unbecoming, right? They know that's not savvy. So instead, they're going to have their official Korean Central News Agency quote a quote-unquote factory worker. Like, oh, look at this. The North Korean news agency just happened to find a factory worker who would say something hideous about the U.S. president, and then they would just print that without checking with anyone. No, of course, this is their way of taking a swipe at Obama, and it is significant. They say, Obama has the shape of a monkey. Okay, now that sounds pretty awful. It's about to get worse. It would be better for him to live with other monkeys at a wild animal park in Africa and licking breadcrumbs thrown by onlookers. Oh boy. Okay, so that's not very nice. Okay, maybe they got emboldened by Donald Sterling. They're like, he still has the Clippers. Apparently, there's no consequences in the U.S. Now, by the way, the people who could, of course, use those breadcrumbs, unfortunately, are the people of North Korea because of Kim Jong-un and the military leadership there that is so incredibly oppressive. Oftentimes, hundreds of thousands of people die from starvation, and let alone the concentration camps. So, of course, our spokespeople put out their usual press release about how offended they are. They say it's offensive and ridiculous and absurd, and then went on to say that it's, quote, disgusting. Okay, now all those things are true, but also fairly obvious. Okay, so I always feel with like this kid, and he is a kid, remember how young he is, right? His father passed away, he comes into power earlier than expected, that I always want to say like, hey, dude, just piss off, okay? Go eat lunch in the corner, nobody likes you, you have a funny haircut, and nobody believes that, you know, you're the toughest thing in the world. That's what he's always trying to prove. Nobody believes that you bowl a 300. Shut up already and go away. Now look, of course, they're very, very dangerous because they have a ton of missiles pointed at South Korea, Japan. They claim they can reach the U.S. I don't think they can, but it doesn't really matter because they can do tremendous damage in those countries that are, of course, important to the whole world. So you've got to take them somewhat seriously, but I wouldn't take their comments seriously. We shouldn't be responding to some BS news story about a factory worker in North Korea. Every time they put out a statement like this, the proper response is this. That's it, okay? Anything else would also be unacceptable.